Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hope, can everybody hear me? Inshallah. The sisters hear me too? Alright, alhamdulillah, hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fihi wa salatu wa salamu ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in wa ba'd. First of all, jazakumullah khair for inviting me back again to the masjid. Alhamdulillah for our talk. Actually, I think Hafiz Saab and Dr. Saab has been inviting me for a while. I just haven't been coming myself. But I really appreciate the opportunity to share this presentation with everyone. This is a talk that I prepared, I think, last year. Some of the university students asked me to talk about the topic of thankfulness when Thanksgiving was coming around, right? And about, what does it mean for us to be grateful in Islam from an Islamic perspective. And so I wanted to share with you, inshallah, this presentation. And hopefully what you're going to get out of this is an understanding of how the impact of our religion, the teachings of our religion, how it is supposed to be impacting us. And if we're not having that impact, then what is it that we're doing wrong so that we can correct those mistakes and see the results of what it means to truly be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in the different ways that our religion teaches us to be grateful. But first of all, when we start talking about thankfulness or gratefulness, it's important to understand both in English and Arabic what the words mean. Because again, we're using the word thankfulness or gratefulness, and in Arabic we have the word shukr. And we're going to see just the difference of what the meanings of the words actually are compared to English and Arabic. So in English, this was actually pretty funny. So I went to, I think, the most authentic source for definitions, dictionary.com, right? You guys know that? If you're a college student, you know dictionary.com. And I looked up the meaning of thankfulness. What does it mean? And it said, feeling or expressing gratitude, semicolon, being appreciative. Now, in reality, this is not really a definition. There's two synonyms that are being given here, right? So thankfulness is gratitude and to be appreciative. It's not really a definition. So looked up another word. I looked up gratitude, and it said it's the quality or feeling of being grateful. They define it with the same word, or thankful. So now gratitude is being defined by thankfulness, right? So now we have, okay, let's look up grateful. What does grateful mean? So warmly or deeply appreciative of kindness or benefits received, semicolon, thankful. So there's one more word that can help us understand what thankfulness is, and that is appreciation, or appreciation. Yeah, so appreciation, it said gratitude, semicolon, thankful recognition. So we're not really getting anywhere with trying to find a definition. But thankfully, because of the scholarly source that dictionary.com actually is, it gave two definitions, right? It gave two definitions. So this was the other definition it gave. The act of estimating the qualities of things and giving them their proper value. So when we talk about thankfulness or gratefulness or thanks from an English-speaking perspective, this is what we're talking about. Estimating the quality of something and giving it a proper value, right? That proper value. Now again, it's still vague, because what is the proper value of something? Is it based on how you appreciate or how you estimate it? It's still a very, very vague definition, but this is why, alhamdulillah, we have the Arabic word. But before we get into the Arabic word shukr and what it actually means, we have to understand that on a personal level, we all have our own understanding of what it means to be thankful or grateful, right? And so this is just a quote from somebody famous. Maybe you can try to guess who this is. This is how they define gratefulness. It is just that we should be grateful not only to those with whose views we may agree, but also to those who have expressed more superficial views, meaning probably not correct views, right? For these also contributed something by developing before us the powers of thought. So this was the understanding of Aristotle, right? That's the famous philosopher of the past. What does it mean to me? So just to kind of personalize the talk here, you can think of times when you've genuinely been thankful or grateful of something. And I want to share with you two times that in my life that I actually genuinely felt thankful or grateful. One of them is when I was in high school, and I had a friend, and we had like a common enemy. So when you're in high school, you have these people that just don't get along. So unfortunately, the guy that didn't get along with me was a 6-foot-tall linebacker on the football team. And so I told my friend one day, just jokingly, that, you know what, I'm pretty sure I could beat him up if I wanted to, right? And being the great friend that he was, he went and told him that this is what he said. He said he could probably beat you up. So outside we're at lunch, and he walks up to me, again, tall guy, I'm just a skinny little brown guy, and this is in Mississippi, right? So you can imagine how tense the situation is, right? He walks up and he says, I heard you said you could beat me up, right? Right in front of me, walks up with his friend and says, I heard you said you could beat me up. And I looked at him, alhamdulillah, Allah put some words in my head, right? So I didn't lie. I just looked at him and I said, why would I say I could beat you up, right? Alhamdulillah, the ego of some people, right? So he looked up and he goes, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Why would you say that, right? And he walked off. So at that point, I was very grateful because I would have gotten beat up probably at that time. The other time was a little bit more serious, and this was actually when I was studying in Pakistan. And so I was at the International Islamic University. This is a picture of our university, by the way. And there was, in 2008, an attack on the university, and we were inside when it happened. And unfortunately, what you see now is the male campus. Down the road, you can see the female campus. There was a blast at the female campus, and we were trying to run out of the building. This is actually where we were, right here. This was my faculty. And we were standing on the second floor when we heard the first blast. We went down, and one of our professors came out, and he said, "What's happening?" And we said, "Just, wait here, wait in your office. We'll go see what's happening. We'll come back and get you." That delayed us for about 2 or 3 seconds. And we made our way to the main entrance, that middle courtyard you see there. And as we're going to the main entrance, the bomb that was placed in this side was actually placed on the main entrance. And so like this doorway here, we were coming across the side, and we were right at the edge of the doorway when the bomb went off, right? Otherwise, we would have been right in the doorway had the bomb gone off maybe a few seconds later, or had we gotten there a few seconds earlier. So this was a huge learning lesson for me, especially when it comes to the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We think about the decree, the divine decree, and how does it work, and how do these things happen. There are so many things that happened that day that didn't make sense, but only after the fact that it happened. And you only really appreciate the things that you can value if you have them to value, and you have some time to think and ponder over them. For instance, that day, I was wearing, so you guys are all familiar with the traditional Pakistani dress, right? You were wearing it, the shalwar kameez, right? And with shalwar kameez, you don't wear boots, right? It's just unless you're, I don't know, in the mountains or something, but you don't wear boots, especially not to university. But that day I woke up and I put on my like hiking boots. That's one of my favorite shoes that I had, and I had no idea. I'm sitting there in the morning, tying my shoes, and I have no idea why I'm dressing like this. Why am I putting on boots with this shalwar kameez? It absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. But at the end of the day, we had to run over a sea of broken glass, right? And had I been wearing sandals, my feet might have been torn up really bad. A lot of people got injured. 8 people did die that day. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to grant them, the shahada and Jannatul Firdaus, inshallah. But this was a time that I personally got to experience, gratitude and thankfulness just for being alive, right? Just for being alive, because again, it would have been just one more step, and that would have been a completely different story. These are some of the pictures of the blast that took place. But moving on, just kind of getting into, now you have kind of an understanding of, this is something real, this is something true. Understanding thankfulness in Islamic terms. And the word that we use in Islam is shukr. And linguistically, the Arabic word shukr, this is the meaning. The clear physical appearance of the result of nutrition in the body of an animal. The Arabs used to say shakarat ad-dabba, that the animal is showing shukr, right? It's getting fattened, it's meatening up, it's plumping up. This was what they would call shukr, right? So the clear physical appearance of the result of nutrition in the body of an animal. So the Islamic meaning is closely tied to the linguistic meaning. And so you can tell that already it's not something as simple as estimating the value of something and assigning a value, right? That's very, very distant from the thing that you're grateful for. There's a disconnect. That English meaning of gratefulness is estimating the value of something, assigning it a value. It's different than this. This is seeing that there's physical appearance of the result of something that's happening. And from this we get the religious meaning, which is the clear appearance of the result of the blessings of Allah on the tongue, the heart, and the limbs of a believer. So shukr is not something that it's just inside. It's something that should have a physical result, something that you should be able to see or demonstrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's again in the tongue, the heart, and the limbs of a person. These are just some ways that we show it. So from our tongues we can do praise. We can praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In our hearts we can have genuine love of Allah Azza wa Jal. And our limbs, we show our gratitude by actually being submissive and actually being obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, he lists 5 components of shukr, right? These are 5 things that must be present, or that should be present in order for, shukr to be considered real shukr, real gratefulness. Number 1, humility and submission, right? Humility and submission. Genuine love for the appreciated, admitting and declaring the favor, praise for receiving the favor, and not using the favor in ways that are disliked by the one who provided you that favor. Now, this is all general, because when we talk about the quality of gratitude in Islam, there's showing gratitude, there's showing shukr to Allah, and there's showing shukr to the people as well. As the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man lam yashkur an-nas lam yashkur Allah." Whoever is not grateful to the people is not grateful to Allah. So you see how these qualities, they have to be there, they have to be present in your act of showing gratitude. No, whether the provider is Allah or whether he's made somebody else the means of that provision, humility and submission, and this is obviously a particular quality that we give to Allah Azza wa Jal, but being humble to the fact that you're being appreciated or that you're being given something, loving the fact that you're being appreciated, admitting the favor, right? This is a huge one. Admitting the fact that you're being given something that is something for you to be grateful for, recognizing it, and praising the one who's giving it to you and not using it in the way that that person would not like. And you can all imagine if somebody asked you for 20 bucks, right? They said, I need $20, I gotta go buy a meal for my family. And you gave them $20, right? And you sit there and you watch this person go into the liquor store and buy some beer and cigarettes and come out with the money that you gave them, right? What's going to be your feeling, right? You give this person money, he should be appreciative, and he's going and blowing this off on something ridiculous, right? So you're also going to feel kind of violated. You're going to feel like this is a waste of what I've provided. And then maybe you would not provide something like that in the future for similar situations. So this kind of stuff happens. If you're not grateful to the provider, it could be that the provider is not going to be giving you that which you should be grateful for in the first place. And shukr also is a component, is half the component of our iman, of our faith. Right? There's many ways to look at our faith. This is a breakdown of shukr and sabr, thankfulness or gratefulness and patience. And these make up two components of our faith. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ إن أمره كله خير وليس ذلك لأحد إلا للمؤمن إن أصابته سراء شكر فكان خيرا له وإن أصابته ضراء صبر فكان خيرا له. He said, strange is the affair of the believer, for there is good in every affair of his, and this is only in the case of a true believer. If something happy or good happens to him, he is grateful, he is thankful, and that is good for him. And if he is in trouble or something bad happens, he patiently endures, and that is good for him. So this is basically dividing up the two types of situations you're going to have in your life. Either things that are going to be good or bad, or a mix of good and bad in various points in your life. But in either case, these two are the reactions that will complete your faith. If good things happen, you need to be grateful. If bad things happen, you need to be patient. And there are higher levels of sabr, and shukr is actually one of the higher levels of sabr. Shukr is one of the levels where you're actually appreciative even for the bad things that are happening to you, because now you have the opportunity to show patience and earn more reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit here. We're going to talk about the science of thankfulness. And there's one thing that I like to always emphasize in my talks, and that is that we've unfortunately had a disconnect sometime between the spiritual sciences that we have and the natural sciences that we have. This world is a natural world that Allah Azza wa Jal created, and the research and emphasis or whatever we put into this world to learn about what exists in this world is a part of our spirituality, is a part of our faith. And so it's important to connect the two, the spiritual science with the natural sciences. And a lot of times what happens, and unfortunately this happens with some of our youth and young ones, is that when they grow up, they always ask this question, why? Right? Why do we have to pray 5 times a day? Why do I have to say the dua before I eat dinner or after I eat dinner? Why do I have to say something before I go to the bathroom, when I come out of the bathroom, right? Why do I have to, say this dua when I wake up? And we teach them these things, and they always ask why? And the answer to those why questions, they come from the natural sciences. And if we're not familiar with this, then we're not going to be able to answer those questions. We're not going to be able to satisfy that curiosity. And they're going to go to places where, other people are using these things to satisfy their curiosity. So understanding what thankfulness does to a person is very, very important. And fortunately, alhamdulillah, we live in a world where all these things are studied, and we see results that come from this. So Dr. Robert A. Emmons is a PhD in personality psychology, and he has an institute. It's called the Greater Good Institute, and they study morality. They study, people doing good things and the effect that has on them. And this is how he defines gratitude. So in English language, but specifically based on what he's seen, this is how he defines gratitude. He says, gratitude is the affirmation of goodness. We affirm that there are good things in the world. And he continues, he says, we recognize that the sources of this goodness are outside of ourselves. They don't come from within us, they come from outside of us. Other people or even higher powers gave us many gifts to help us achieve the goodness in our lives. So this is a recognition of what thankfulness is, right? So we talked about it again, you have to recognize the favor that's coming to you. This is that portion of that Islamic definition. That at least understand that whatever you have is not coming from within yourself, it's coming from somewhere else. And from our understanding, this is again completely secular. From our understanding, everything that's coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the one that provides the means, He is the one that makes everything available to us. Now, Dr. Edmonds, he's done some amazing research, And what he did was he took two groups of people. They had a study group, and they took two groups of people, and they did something called gratitude journaling. Some of you may have heard about this. Gratitude journaling. They gave one group, let's say we divide up the men and women into two groups here. So he gave one group the task that, every night you're going to go home, before you go to sleep, you're going to write down 5 things that you're grateful for. 5 things that you're grateful for. And the other group, they had to go and write down 5 things that's, bad that happened that day. Negative things that they experienced in that day. So this group would write down 5 things good that happened and they're grateful for it, and the other group would write down 5 things that happened that were negative. And this happened for a few weeks, and then they did some research and they did some results. Now this has been tested in thousands of people. This research has expanded now to include adults, children in schools, and all different types of people in workplaces and everything. And there are some certain results that they found. But what they were doing is they're engaging people to be conscious of the fact that there are things to be grateful for in their lives. Right? They're forcing people to recognize what is it that I'm really truly grateful for. And they see certain results in those people, and the other people they try to, as a control group, to see whether or not they would have different results. So they research, it shows that practicing gratitude, right? This is the word they use, a very good word by the way. Practicing gratitude has benefits. It has physical benefits, psychological benefits, and social benefits. Can you guys see this, the sisters? Okay. It has physical, psychological, and social benefits. Among the physical benefits that people are demonstrating or are showing when they are actively practicing gratitude, meaning they're writing it down, they're focusing, they're thinking about the things they're grateful for, and they're putting it on paper. Physical results or benefits that have emerged: stronger immune systems, lower blood pressure. People will tend to exercise more and take better care of their health, and they have better quality of sleep. It's interesting, isn't it? This is the result that we're getting from actually practicing gratitude. Now, if you're thinking, man, I've been saying these du'as for a long time, I have like high blood pressure and I don't get enough sleep, and keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. We'll connect this in the end. Psychological benefits: higher levels of positive emotions. These people showed higher levels of positive emotions. They were reportedly more alert and awake during the day when they had to work. They experienced more joy and happiness in the time that they're living in. Right? They're finding more things to be happy about. Social benefits included people being more generous and compassionate. SubhanAllah. Practicing gratitude has shown that people end up being more generous and compassionate, more forgiving, more outgoing, less lonely and less isolated, meaning less likely to keep to themselves, more likely to engage with others. These are amazing benefits that we're actually seeing here. And when you think about, wow, like people that actually practice gratitude, this is the kind of life that they're living, these are the kind of results that they're seeing in their lives. These are the kind of results we want to see in our lives. And he mentions some other results or the benefits that he saw in his research. He said gratitude allows us to celebrate the present. Now he's explaining why we have these benefits, right? It allows us to celebrate the present. Positive emotions, they tend to wear off quickly, right? You give a child a toy, they play with it for 5 minutes, and then they're done, right? They go to do something else, right? Same thing with adults, right? We have something, we're excited about it, give it a few weeks or whatever, we're done, and we got to move on to something else, right? We get bored with the other thing. So positive emotions tend to wear off quickly, and we like newness. And he says gratitude lets us appreciate the value of things, and therefore lets us extract more benefit from them. So if you understand what's being said here, if you are given something that you like, and you enjoy it for a period of time, just because of the enjoyment, then you might get bored of that thing pretty quickly. Whereas if you appreciate the value that this thing is bringing to your life, right? You appreciate, you go and you think about all the benefits that it's bringing to you, all the different kinds of favors that you're getting because you have this thing. Now you're assigning more value to it, and therefore you're looking at it from a different perspective. It's not just a new thing, it's something that gives importance to you, and you're grateful for this thing being in your life. So it changes your perspective slightly of how you view things. Gratitude blocks toxic negative emotions. You mentioned that it can reduce the frequency or duration of episodes of depression. Now, depression is something we have to really talk about, especially in our communities, a lot more openly. This is a very, very natural thing. The Prophet ﷺ himself went through periods of depression. It's even mentioned in the Quran, and in the Seerah we see these things, right? It's where things weigh down heavily on his heart and all sorts of different things. But a lot of us have durations of or episodes of depression because of either family life or work life or social life or whatever it is. We have episodes of depression. And gratitude, practicing gratitude can, it's not saying eliminate, but it can reduce the frequency or duration of episodes of depression. So it's something that very natural, it's something that's a natural emotion, a feeling that has to be let out, but practicing gratitude can keep it in control so it doesn't get out of hand. And he mentioned that you can't be envious and grateful at the same time. It's something that he's mentioning, that your brain just can't do the two things at the exact same time. So if you're grateful, you're not going to be able to be envious or have those kinds of emotions at the same time as you're being grateful. So this can also block out toxic emotions as well. Excuse me. He mentioned that grateful people are more stress resistant. In traumatic experiences, people with a grateful attitude, they recover more quickly. So we all have experienced traumatic experiences in our lives, whether it's the loss of a loved one, whether it's a separation, whether it's a loss of a child, whether it's loss of some type of property or whatever it is. Things that really hurt our feelings, things that bring us down a lot. But people that practice gratitude on a regular basis, they recover quickly. Again, I'm saying this is a normal thing that you're going to go through. You're going to feel down sometimes. But practicing gratitude helps you to recover and move on with life a lot more quickly when you have that every day in your life. And he said greater people have a higher sense of self-worth. This is a beautiful point. And if anything, you remember this point. He says, realizing that someone else values you enough to give you what you're grateful for, you can change the perspective with which you look at yourself. When you list the things in your life that you are absolutely grateful and thankful for, you recognize that there's somebody that loves you so much that they have provided these things for you, right? They are the ones that are providing these things for you. And from a religious perspective, this is the way you're going to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You look at the list, and no matter what your life is like, you can think of things that you are grateful and thankful for and that you could not live without. And when you realize that these things are actually in your life and that Allah is the one that put them there, then you see the connection that Allah has with you. He loves you so much that He has provided these things for you that you yourself appreciate and give value to. And He understands you and He knows you, and therefore He's provided these things for you. And now you can look at yourself and say, okay, I'm not someone that's left alone. Allah has not abandoned me. Allah has not left me. Allah loves me and He's taking care of me. And these are the things that I love in my life, and He's provided these things for me. So it changes the way you look at yourself. And it's a very, very important point, and this is what gratitude is supposed to do. This is what showing gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually supposed to do, to make you recognize the favors that you're getting from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now one thing that he mentioned in his essay that obviously stuck out to me was he mentioned learn prayers of guidance, right? So people have different ways of showing gratitude. This is a completely secular study. So people that are gratitude journaling are not thanking Allah, most of them, right? If they don't believe in a God or they're just practicing this for some other purpose. They're writing things down just for the sake of writing things down and having better emotions and things like that. But he mentioned that people of faith can learn prayers of gratitude that they have in their religion. And this is where now we're going to come and make this connection, right? That we have with all these du'as. We have a du'a for everything, right? And and the kids even here can testify to that, right? But when you're going to the bathroom, your parents like, say the du'a. Like, du'a for the bathroom? When you come out of the bathroom, like, say the du'a. Du'a for coming out of the bathroom? You're going to eat, say the du'a. After you eat, you say the du'a. When you wake up in the morning, you got to say this. When you go to bed at night, you have to say this. When you get in the car, say the du'a for getting in the car. When you get out of the car, say the du'a for getting in the car. When you get hurt, say Bismillah. I don't know, we do that in the Indian Pakistani faith. If somebody falls down, gets hurt, and say Bismillah. Right? I don't know if that's an authentic du'a, but it's something that we do. But we have a du'a for everything. And the Prophet ﷺ taught us du'as for so many things. So when you see the new moon, when you see the month of Ramadan is coming, for every little thing there's a du'a. And we have these books now that you can get. So my purpose here not to go through every du'a, but you can get these books that have the du'a for all these different types of things, for putting on new clothes, for looking into the mirror, for drinking water, all these kinds of things. But the connection with all of this is that why did He teach us all these du'as? Why did He give us all of these prayers that He wanted us to say before so many things that we do throughout the day? Now remember, the people that are gratitude journaling are writing down 5 things every day. 5 things, and they're showing these benefits. They have better physical benefits, they're showing psychological benefits, they're showing social benefits. They're getting healthier, they're feeling happier, they're being more compassionate, forgiving, loving, they're better people to be around. And this is by writing down 5 things every day, being aware of what they're writing down, and just doing this for a matter of weeks. These are the results that they saw. So what about all these du'as that we have? All these du'as that we have. These are prayers of gratitude. Every single du'a that we have is a prayer of appreciation, of thankfulness, of gratitude. And this is what Allah Azza wa Jal wants for us. He wants for us to have physical benefits in our life. He wants for us to have social benefits. He wants for us to have psychological benefits in our life. And therefore He has given us this method that you practice gratitude throughout your day. Now we have tons and tons of things, right? So you can at least understand from this that if you don't say all these du'as, at least pick 5. At least pick certain moments in the day that you're doing and really focus on the fact that you're being grateful to Allah for something specific. And that, inshallah, you will see these benefits. So just for demonstration purposes, we have these du'as. After eating, we say, Alhamdulillah الذي أطعمنا وسقانا وجعلنا من المسلمين. There are other du'as as well. But we're giving thanks to Allah. We're saying all praises to Allah who fed us, gave us to drink, and made us Muslims. 3 things you're appreciating right there. 3 things you're being grateful for at the moment you sit down and you're done with your meal. I'm thankful for the fact that I had food. I'm thankful for the fact that I had drink. I'm so grateful that I'm a Muslim. Right? 3 things that you're appreciative for, that Allah has provided this for you. He loves you so much that He's provided this for you. Waking up, all praises to Allah who gave us life after giving us death, and to Him we will return. You have another chance to live in this world. You have another chance to go throughout your day. You have another chance to be forgiven for your sins. You have another chance to do more good deeds throughout the day, to rack up more and to correct yourself if you've been behaving in the wrong way. This is something you're being grateful for. You're thanking Allah for giving you another opportunity. Right? After using the restroom, all praises to Allah who removed from me that which causes harm and gave me health. Alhamdulillah alladhi adhaba 'anil adha wa 'afani. Now this is a prayer of gratitude. We know that, and those of you guys that are doctors, you understand this. The whole process of relieving yourself is you're relieving things that will possibly cause sicknesses and diseases in your body if they stay. And people that have a problem relieving themselves, then they develop many, many problems, right? Many, many physical problems and health problems and possible bacterial diseases or whatever. So just the fact that your body is functioning properly, so you can stay healthy and you can enjoy the day and you can enjoy your life, this is something to be grateful for, that your system is functioning properly. Putting on clothes, again, appreciating the fact that you have things to wear. When it comes time for the iftar, I think this is the one time where genuinely everyone is really grateful. When you have the iftar time, and we say these various du'as, one of them is ذهب ضم وابتدت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. That thirst is gone, the veins are moistened, and the reward is written by the permission, by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So being grateful for the fact that you had an opportunity to get closer to Allah, to earn more rewards. Even the opening prayer of the salat. The opening prayer, Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik wa tabarak ismuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. Exalted are you, O Allah, and with your praise, and blessed is your name, and high is your majesty, and there's none worthy of worship except you. This is a prayer of gratitude. You have the opportunity now, you're standing before Rabbul Alameen, the one that creates, that's created all that exists, the one that nurtures you, the one that provides for you. And He has given you the opportunity, guided you to stand before Him and to pray, right, and to worship Him, by which is an obligation you fulfill, by which you will go to paradise, inshallah. Continue, there's more and more. Anytime we say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whenever we mention his name and we say sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, we're grateful for the fact that Allah chose him and sent him to us. Right? So we say this a lot during our day. We say his name, we hear his name, and so we say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. What are we doing? We're being grateful for the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal chose somebody from amongst us, sent him with the final message, and made us amongst those who were guided by him. And so we're grateful for the fact that he did that, and we send peace and blessings upon the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and by that we're also showing gratitude. The dua for the morning, again, it's another one. The dua for the new baby. May Allah bless you what He has given you, and may you be grateful to the giver. So this one even specifically says it. May you be grateful to the giver, and may he reach his full age, and may you be granted his good treatment. وَشَكَرْتَ الْوَاهِبْ, right? May you be grateful for the one that has provided you this gift. After rain, there's a dua. We have been granted rain by the grace and mercy of Allah. Right? Even for rain, when you're waiting for rain and it comes, you appreciate the fact that Allah has sent it to you, and even getting it on a ride or a car as we do it now. Exalted is He who has subjected this to us. I mean, Subhanallah, the exalted is the one, pure is the one who has made this available for us, who facilitated all these means for us, and we could not have otherwise subdued it, and indeed to our Lord we will return. And a lot of these you're reminding yourself as well of your final return and of the akhirah and the next life as well. So these are prayers of gratitude. And this is what these du'as are supposed to be doing in your life. These du'as are supposed to be having physical, social, psychological, and social effects in your life. You're supposed to be improving. And this, when you realize that you've been given this, and the one that gave you this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you realize that what He wants for you is something really good. He wants you to live a healthy life. He wants you to be, He wants you to be psychologically strong. He wants you to be socially beneficial. This is what He wants from you. And He has given this to you. Now it's up to us, right? If we practice this gratitude, then we will see those benefits. And if we don't, we're not going to see those benefits. A quick note on that. A lot of times we teach our kids these du'as, or we learn these du'as in Arabic. And if Arabic is not a language we understand, or this is something that just becomes a habit, then you're not going to be utilizing the value of this gratitude to its full potential unless you're focused on the fact that you're being grateful at the time. That's what was happening in the research, right? They're focused, they're writing things down. They're focused on what they're doing. So the lesson is when you're done eating, you actually focus on the fact that you're saying this dua and what it means. If you don't know what it means, you can't figure out what it means, it's hard for you to say in Arabic, say it in English. The fact that you're appreciating Allah is the important thing that's being done here. Say it in English if you can't remember it in Arabic or whatever it is. But you have to understand it's a conscious effort, not just memory, right? Not just, okay, I'm going to bed, boom, you go to sleep. No, it is an effort where you're understanding what's going on. This is what I'm doing. I'm being grateful for this thing. Think about it for a few seconds. It doesn't take very long, but think about it for a few seconds. Then you will be getting these benefits, inshallah ta'ala. And we'll close up with some ayat from the Quran and hadith from the Prophet ﷺ on the topic of shukr and thankfulness in the Quran and the prophetic tradition. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says in Surah Al-Nahl, yeah. فَكُلُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا وَاشْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ إِن كُنتُمْ إِيَّاهُ تَعْبُدُونَ. Then eat of what Allah has provided you, for which is lawful and good, and be grateful for the favor of Allah if it is indeed Him that you worship. Now look carefully at the structure of this ayah, right? وَاشْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ إِن كُنتُمْ إِيَّاهُ تَعْبُدُونَ. This is a condition. And be grateful to the favor of Allah. The condition is what? If you are truly, if it is indeed Him that you worship. So Allah is even telling us, if you worship Allah, you claim that you're worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal, you only enslave yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then be grateful. How do you show that? You're grateful for the fact that He's provided you these favors, and the specific favor here is the food which Allah Azza wa Jal has given us, the halal and tayyib, the lawful and the good, beneficial food for us. And this is a command, right? This is a command. وَاشْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ. It's a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. And here you see again the concept of gratefulness and patience together in the Quran. So remember me, or make dhikr of me, I will remember you, and be grateful to me and do not deny me. So you see what Allah is saying? What is the end result of not being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You're denying. You're denying the fact that somebody is there providing you and giving you and taking care of you and loving you. You're denying that if you're not grateful, if you don't show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then He says, O you who have believed, seek help through patience and the prayer. Indeed, Allah is with those who are patient. And this is the connection between shukr and sabr, the idea of our religion being divided up into gratefulness and patience. And Allah Azza wa Jalla says, He describes some of the prophets. And when He describes the prophets, He's describing them with qualities that really make them stand out, that make them special people, because these are special people. And look at the words He chooses for them. He says, إِنَّ إِبْرَاهِيمَ كَانَ أُمَّةً قَانِتًا لِلَّهِ حَنِيفًا وَلَمْ يَكُنْ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ شَاكِرًا لِأَنْعُمِهِ. And Ibrahim alayhi salam was a leader, devoutly obedient to Allah, inclining toward the truth always. And he was not of those who worship others with Allah. He did not commit shirk. He was grateful of Allah's favors. So how does He describe him after all these great attributes? شَاكِرًا لِأَنْعُمِهِ. This was something that defined him. He was grateful for the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah mentions about Nuh alayhi salam, إِنَّهُ كَانَ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا. And abd is one of the most, the highest level that Allah Azza wa Jalla refers to His prophets with. He says Nuh indeed was a grateful servant. He was abdan, and the quality, the adjective for what kind of abd he was, shakura. In a very small ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla is describing why He loves Nuh alayhi salam so much. Why was he so special? Not only was he a beautiful servant to Allah Azza wa Jalla, but shakura. He was someone that was appreciative, grateful of the blessings of Allah and all that He did for him. And Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَاللَّهُ أَخْرَجَكُم مِّن بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. So our very existence, Allah has extracted you from the wombs of your mothers, and you did not know a single thing. You did not know a single thing when you came into this world, and He made for you hearing and vision and intellect, the ability for you to think and learn and grow in your thinking, that perhaps you would be grateful. So He even gave us these tools so that we can recognize the favors of Allah and show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how do these things grow? How do these things flourish in our lives? If you have physical benefits, psychological benefits, social benefits, these things are going to flourish a lot more. So when you're more grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your sight, your hearing, your intellect, it will grow as well, inshallah. And Allah says, وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَلَئِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. So this is also a warning. It's also a warning from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember what your Lord proclaimed, if you are grateful, I will surely increase you in favor. If you are grateful, I will surely increase you. By the way, the in favor part is the translation. Allah Azza wa Jalla doesn't say in what. لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you are grateful, I will give you more. I will increase you. Right? So whatever you're grateful for, the idea is Allah Azza wa Jalla will increase you in that. Maybe He will increase you in your gratitude. Maybe He will increase you in the blessings that He's given you, but He will give you more. More of something from and anything you're getting more from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's a good deal. But then He says, وَلَئِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. But if you are ungrateful and you deny, then indeed my punishment is very severe. Indeed my punishment is very severe. So Allah Azza wa Jal has created the consequence for the fact that if you are not grateful, if you're not living a life of gratitude, there are consequences to this. Because this is, again, this is spiritual world, there's also a real world, right? There's these consequences, and we see the benefits that are there. So if gratitude is not there, then maybe the opposite of those benefits might exist. The Prophet ﷺ also, a few hadith of his about shukr in particular, he mentioned this in Bukhari and Muslim. It's mentioned that أنه قام حتى تورمت قدماه فقيل له تفعل هذا وقد غفر الله لك ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر فقال أفلا أكون عبدا شكورا. The Prophet ﷺ would stand in prayer so much until his feet would bleed, and it was said to him, you're doing this much when Allah has forgiven you. Anything that you did before, anything that you may do afterwards. Allah has forgiven you completely of sins. And he said, should I not then be abdan shakura, the same thing which Allah described Nuh alayhi salam with, should I not be a servant who is grateful and appreciative of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you see how the Prophet ﷺ chose to respond to the blessing of being sinless. SubhanAllah, imagine if you were told today, you're forgiven. Whatever you do, you're forgiven, right? We would go crazy. Right? That's what we would do. We would just go crazy. We do whatever we wanted to because we're forgiven. But the Prophet ﷺ showed the true reaction of a slave, and that is abdan shakura, appreciation. Appreciation that he has been given this honor. And the Prophet ﷺ also said to Mu'adh, radiallahu anhu, he says, Ya Mu'adh, wallahi inni la uhibbuk. ثم أوصيك يا معاذ لا تدعن في دبر كل صلاة تقول اللهم أعني على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. That Mu'adh, I swear by Allah that I love you. And I advise you to never miss saying after every prayer, اللهم أعني على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. Oh Allah, help me to remember you, express gratitude to you, and to worship you in the best manner. So not only are you, or should you be wanting to appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fact that your ability to show appreciation is also in itself a blessing. You have to ask Allah Azza wa Jal for it. For you to be able to show gratitude, you have to ask Allah Azza wa Jal for it. For you to be able to worship Allah in the best manner, you have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. So you're asking Allah, Ya Allah, help me to remember you after, to express gratitude to you and to worship you in the best possible manner. And this is that short little dua that we say after the prayer, and everyone should know this. Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadati. We're asking Allah Azza wa Jal to give us more of these qualities so that we can benefit more and more from them. And the Prophet ﷺ said, إن الله يحب أن يرى أثر نعمته على عبده. This is a beautiful hadith. That indeed Allah loves to see the result of His favor on His servant. أثر نعمته على عبده. Allah wants to see the effect of the favor on His servant. And what does the word shukr mean? You go back to that meaning. What does it mean in the language? What was the definition we gave? Gratitude. That long definition. What does it linguistically mean to the animal? What happens? It gets plucked up, right? You're seeing the result of the nutrition you're giving to the animal. And Allah loves to see the results of the favors that He's having on you. And that is the shukr. That is the appreciation. That is the gratitude that you show with your tongue, your heart, and your limbs. That you praise Allah, you love Allah, and you submit to Him with to His commands. So Allah loves to see the result of His ni'mah upon His servant. So Allah wants to give you a lot of ni'mah. You have to recognize what they are in your life. He's given all of us a lot of ni'mah. And Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned a poem. The translation, by the way, is going to be horrible because you can't really translate an Arabic poem into English. I don't think that's possible. But those of you that understand, alhamdulillah, will benefit. He said, وَمِنَ الرَّزِيَّةِ أَنَّ شُكْرِ صَامِتٌ عَمَّا فَعَلْتَ وَأَنَّ بِرَّكَ نَاطِقُ وَأَرَى السَّمِيعَةَ مِنْكَ ثُمَّ أُسِرُّهَا إِنِّي إِذًا لِلَدَى الْكَرِيمِ لَسَالِكُ. Right? Generally, what he's saying is, it's a line of poetry that, what kind of a horrible thing it would be that my attitude is I respond to you with silence when what you're doing to me speaks so loudly. Right? Whatever you're doing to me, it speaks so loudly. It's clear that you're providing me with favors, but I'm just not responding to you in any way. And I would see a favor from you and I would conceal it. It's almost like I'm a static. I'm stealing your favors, and I'm not really earning them to begin with. So this was something it's a beautiful poem in Arabic that in English kind of loses meaning, and I think that happens whenever you translate any kind of poetry from one language to the other. But the Prophet also said, التحدث بنعمة الله شكر وتركها كفر ومن لا يشكر القليل لا يشكر الكثير ومن لا يشكر الناس لا يشكر الله والجماعة بركة والفرقة عذاب. This is narrated by Imam al-Bayhaqi. He said that mentioning the favor of Allah is gratefulness. Right? التحدث بنعمة, talking about the favors that you have in your life, mentioning them, expressing them, this is gratitude. And not doing so is denial. What is the ayah in the Quran? And Allah Azza wa Jalla tells the Prophet to do this. Everybody should know this ayah. The last portion of the Quran. وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ
رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. Right, that's the first word, tahaddus. Ask for the favors of your Lord, then express them. So mentioning the favor of Allah is gratitude. Not doing so is denial. Remember the other hadith or the ayah in the Quran? Right? وَلَئِن كَفَرْتَ فَإِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. If you deny my favors, and my punishment is going to be severe. Whoever isn't thankful for little will not be thankful for a lot. That's what the Prophet ﷺ told us. If you are not grateful for the little things in your life, you're probably not really going to appreciate the big things that happen. And unfortunately, sometimes we see this. Right? Especially when we think of our kids and we don't ingrain in them the appreciation for the small things in life, the clothes on their back, right? By showing them the people that don't have that. You know, the little, the food that you're eating, by showing them the people that don't have that. Appreciate the small things, right? So when they get something huge, they're like, man, I didn't want this one, I wanted this one, right? I didn't want the iPhone 6, I wanted the iPhone 7. I didn't want the Samsung Galaxy S, I wanted the Galaxy whatever, the Pluto, I don't know, whatever it is, right? But they always, you know, not showing appreciation for even the smaller things, will not show appreciation for big things. By the way, having a phone, just because the kids are all say this, having a phone is useless, right? It's a huge blessing, it's a favor, but it's an extra blessing. It's not something that's going to, a necessity of your life. So if you're not appreciative of the basic necessities of your life, you're not going to appreciate the luxuries of life that you have as well. And he said that there is a blessing in congregation and punishment for splitting apart, right? Punishment for splitting apart. This is a continuation of the hadith. Our focus again is on the beginning part, but again there's a lesson in every aspect of this hadith. That al-jama'atu barakah wal-furqatu adab. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to keep us together, especially as a community as well, inshallah. Just to summarize what I talked about, inshallah, before we go into any questions or comments that anybody has. Thankfulness is half of your faith. Remember that. Patience is the other half. Living a lifestyle of gratitude is physically, psychologically, and socially beneficial. Allah wants us to live a healthy lifestyle, a productive, healthy lifestyle. That's why He has provided us with these teachings of saying these du'as and showing gratitude and being grateful, because this shows an effect. This has an effect on our physical lives. And when you place your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow the guidance of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will always be successful, right? The teachings, they came a long, long time ago. This research is being done now, right? But for us, alhamdulillah, we have the blessing even to be able to understand what it is that we're doing, why it is that we're doing it. The early generations, they didn't know these details, but they believed that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them is true and beneficial. They believed that what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave them is true and beneficial. And on that level, that is enough. That is enough for a believer if he has firm faith that what Allah has given me and what the Prophet ﷺ has given me is beneficial, is good for me. That is enough. But for those of us, again, because we become weak over time, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to strengthen our faith, these are the things that help us to, again, reconnect. And the spiritual sciences and the natural sciences, they have a connection. We should always keep them connected, and inshallah we'll benefit from them. And that is the end of my presentation. So if anybody has any questions or comments that you would like to make, please share. I do have a rule when I give talks, by the way. There has to be 3 questions, or 3 comments, or 3 times in a discussion. So we're not bringing shy until we get these 3. Yes, Masaj.
So word kufr and shukr, how linguistically, how do they relate to each other?
So kufr, I think linguistically is described as covering up something, hiding something, concealing something. And shukr is the result of something being shown. Right? The result of something being visible, physically being visible and shown. So the animal, when you feed it, it gets physically bigger. Whereas a defect, if you cover it, or you hide it or a seed in the ground or something, you're covering it. So I think it's basically a difference of showing appreciation and not showing it, or concealing it, or hiding it. Not showing the result of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have. Does that make sense?
Because the word kufr, I mean, that's linguistic, but then
yes, but it has
Sharia,
so it has the meaning of being ungrateful. It has the meaning of because of the ungratefulness they disbelieve. All of those meanings, but the meaning of the word, especially in the context we talked about it, is being ungrateful, because it's used as the opposite of shukr. Yeah. So you can think about it even that way. That shukr can be like, iman, and kufr can be the absence of it, right? Because of the fact that Allah is using them as opposites as well. Is that clear? Any sisters, any questions, comments? Yes.
Actually, it's not really a comment, but it's something that happened to me over the week. I was walking to the bus stop, and I fell on my face, and I had like a nosebleed, and I was hurt. But then Allah kept me strong and kept me patient, and it taught me that I should always be calm in situations, be strong, and now that okay.
That's a very cool thing you did. So you got hurt, but then you went to the positive, right? You didn't think, oh, this is going to be a bad day. But the fact that you recognize that you were able to stay calm and go on with the day, that's great. Alhamdulillah. That is gratitude. That is gratitude that you were showing. Good.
One more thing.
Yes.
In the Quran, Allah calls himself Shakir. So if you could touch upon that a little bit, because that's a different aspect.
Yes, that's a different. So Hafiz Ahmad Ali does a good job with the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So if you've attended his lecture, we talked about the word Shakur wa Shakir. Shakir and Shakur. This is on our YouTube channel as well. But from Allah's perspective, obviously, is that the appreciation of the worship of the servants, right? The appreciation and worship of the servants, and then Allah Azza wa Jalla is giving us rewards and things in return. So Allah is appreciative in the sense that any effort we make, He gives us reward for it, and He appreciates it, subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though He is independent of any need of the things that we do. But because we do it, and even though He's not in need of it, He still appreciates and shows us the things that He does. So it's like even a higher level that you can imagine of what we do. We do things because they're selfish. Right? We don't worship Allah because He needs it, or because He's done something for us because He needs it. We need these things. Whereas Allah Azza wa Jalla, just out of His mercy, appreciates even small things, right? So the hadith that says, if you come to Allah a handspan, right? If you come to Allah this much, Allah will come to you this much. If you come to Allah walking, will come to you running. Meaning, this is how much He appreciates the little effort that we do. So He's Shakir and Shakur in that sense, that He appreciates even the little efforts that we do.
I have a question.
Yes.
So there is also the aspect of, since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are hukuk, and I think gratitude and shukr is really under the category of is hukuk. So in terms of, how does that fit in the context of human to human? Because obviously there is that hukuk in God.
Yeah.
And sometimes we, not only that we are very, including myself, that we don't really take into the context of gratitude for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's just, as a habit. But we tend to also undermine other humans.
Yes.
And within our family, within our extended family.
Yes.
So how is that is in similar context in terms of that issue?
Yeah, exactly. So the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is very clear, right? Whoever does not thank or is not grateful to the people is not in fact grateful to Allah. So Allah Azza wa Jalla makes people the means of the blessings that we get. So you actually think about the parents, and why is there so much emphasis on being good to your parents? Because some of the scholars, they mentioned that every blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides for every creature, right? In this dunya, the most essential one of those, they come through your parents. And a child, when he thinks of those blessings, he thinks of his mother or father. And when a child thinks of food, he goes to the mother. When a child thinks of protection, he runs to the mother or the father. Right? So from that perspective, Allah's blessing is coming through in the form of somebody else, and that child even recognizes it from that person. He only sees it from the point of view of that person. Right? So he thinks of safety, food, nourishment, anything, whatever, runs to the mother, runs to the father. Right? And this is because Allah has chosen them to be that source of favor to the child. And so this extends again, and in our adult life we understand that the favors, they come from Allah. Everything is from Allah. Right? If you ask a child, they will say, who feeds you? They'll say, Mama. Right? Who changes or who gives you clothing? Mama, Baba, right? That's what they'll say. They won't say Allah, because this is what they're experiencing. But as we grow, we understand that these are people that Allah has chosen to give us these blessings. So if you look at any interaction that you have with another human being as being that, okay, this person is providing you with benefits through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah has chosen this person to benefit me in some way. That can help you to say, well, I don't like this person in this way. I can put that aside. Right? So Allah mentions in the Quran that you may like what is the ayah about the husband and the wife? Yes. So it may be that you dislike something, but Allah puts in it for you something, or maybe something that you dislike, but it's good for you. You may like something, but it is bad for you, right? But
there is an ultimate wisdom in it.
There is an ultimate wisdom in it.
Because that also sort of, because there might be wisdom in that you may not like that person, but that person has done constructive criticism of you that you may not like, but it is good for you.
Yeah.
And you need to take that as Bismillah.
What's the line between tahdeed bin ni'mah and boasting?
Yeah. So I think this really is tough to define, and this is why we have the niyat, right? The intentions. So if your intention is to boast, you're boasting, right? And if your intention is to really be, sharing the gratefulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're sharing the gratefulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's really tough to define. Because even in a private setting, when you're telling one person, you could still be boasting, right? Even if you're telling somebody just for the sake of them learning something, you could secretly want to be boasting to them that, hey, I have this. So it really goes back to your intentions.
I remember in our village, when people used to bring things, they would hide, so poor people don't see it and they feel, so is that something like?
No, I think there's obviously there's an aspect of taking care of people's emotions and feelings as well. Yeah. So I mean, it depends on what the ni'mah is and when's the right time to talk about it as well. So obviously, if showing the favor is going to hurt somebody's feelings, is going to make them feel bad about themselves, then it's better to conceal it at that time. Similarly, we have the concept of concealing the charity that you give, except in situations that will encourage people to give more. So then it's not boasting, but I mean, again, the intention could be to boast at the same time, but at that time it wouldn't be considered boasting. It would be considered encouragement for people. So also, I mean, we have to keep the balance of what we're doing. So inshallah, please don't drive around in a Mercedes and with the window down and like, I got a Mercedes, like that might not be taken as gratitude. That might be taken as boastfulness. Yes, sir.
Now, as a Muslim, you have to be grateful every second of our life, or with every breath. But what's your opinion, Imam Sahib, congregating with a family and friends on one particular time and following certain tradition and still expressing your gratitude of what has happened in the past year or so? So, I think
in the sense
of thanks,
Oh, like for Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Again, this is my opinion is a cultural thing. There's really a cultural thing. There's no real religious affiliation to it. This is my opinion, and this is opinion of some other people. And we have to respect the difference of opinion, because when we come to ijtihad or decisions that we make based on things that are not clear-cut in our faith, then we don't blame people on the other side or this side. So we don't blame people that say don't celebrate it. They shouldn't be blaming people that say, okay, it's fine if you do it. It's not a big deal. Because there is a custom and culture to every land, and it's not always, not everything of custom and culture is forbidden. But things that are clearly standing out as alamat or things of a faith or somebody else's religion, those things are things that we're not allowed to participate in. So for example, putting up a Christmas tree or doing these kinds of things. But with something that's just more of a custom, a cultural type of thing, then they have more of acceptability within the law. But again, this is a disagreed upon thing.
The ayah that says, "Idfa billati hiya ahsan." How would you implement thankful or grateful within this ayah?
So I think the whole idea of ahsan is responding in a way that is better is actually great. When we talk about, there's a different talk I did, we talk about patience and the reactions, the possible reactions that you can have to a negative situation, right? Sabr is actually, it's a form. The lowest form of it is just simply restraining your actions and not going crazy and doing something. So, it's if somebody comes to you with something negative, if you can just restrain yourself from acting out in a negative way back to that person, that's the first level, right? That's the first level. Higher levels, the highest level of it is actually shukr. It's being appreciative of the fact that you have this opportunity to now respond in a way that is going to get you some ajr, right? Or to have this opportunity to show patience. So a higher way of responding is to be actually grateful for the fact that you have a negative experience. Somebody comes to you with something negative, something bad. Now you should be, you're grateful for this fact. So they give a story of one of these pious women in the past. She was cutting in her house, cooking, and she cut her finger off. And she said, Alhamdulillah. And they said, well, why are you saying Alhamdulillah? You cut your finger off. She's like, I'm saying Alhamdulillah because now I have an opportunity to show sabr, to show patience, because I cut my finger. Right? So the way you react obviously it starts off with sabr, but if you look at it in the perspective of I'm grateful for this opportunity because the way I react, I can get ajr for this, I can get reward for this. And Allah has said that, right? So it's possible that the one that's coming to you in this negative way, you and him, he can be like a waliyul habib. He's coming to you negatively, but because you respond good, you're not only getting ajr for yourself because you're responding good, you're changing this person and you're making him a better person because of the way you respond. So that's, inshallah, hopefully that it definitely can come under either gratefulness or sabr, both of those things. But again, the higher level of reaction is shukr, is gratitude. And sabr is the lower reaction because it's restraining yourself. Whereas shukr is actually being more appreciative, inshallah. Any of the sisters have any more questions? Or kind of sitting in the dark, so we don't want to ignore them. Anything else from the brothers here? Alhamdulillah, that was more than 3, so inshallah we can pray a shot, inshallah. طيب بارك الله فيكم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك جزاكم الله خير